So the next kit we're going to do is the Luxury Early Spring Planter Kit. Now this is a new pot for our collection. It is a beautifully sized, humongous 30cm kit, 30cm pot with this gorgeous scallop detailing. It is a showstopper. I am in love with it. I can see so many things that we're going to use it for. But for February this month, we're going to use it for some beautiful sort of early spring bulbs. But it's definitely one of those kits that's a kind of investment in that you will fill this with all sorts of things throughout the year. You know, you'll have like go through the bulbs in it, and then you'll come summer, you could put some beautiful herbs in it or some strawberries in it, have it outside or inside. And then Christmas, my goodness, you could put all sorts of beautiful kind of hellebores in there, or you could make a candle kit out of it. Oh, it's just, yeah, I'm delighted with it. I really hope that you love these new pots. But yeah, let's start. So in this kit you will have your spring bulbs. So you'll have your white muscari, you'll have 3 pots of white muscari, 3 white hyacinths, three white hyacinths, sorry, and 3 white narcissi bulbs. You will have your moss, your compost, and your gravel, which I've actually already put in here because it needs a lot. So I've done it already so that you don't have to watch me kind of, you know, scooping it all in. Then you'll have your cherry blossom twigs and your birch twigs. So let's get started because there is a lot to do for this kit. Okay, so you'll pop your gravel in. So pour all of the gravel that's in your brown paper bags in your kit in. Do the same for your compost. We're aiming for the compost to be sort of sat, about an inch or so below the rim of the pot. Now, in your 3 pots of muscari, I've already taken out and sort of separated 2 pots worth. It takes a bit of time, so I thought, let's save time, I'll do that before. But I will show you how to do 1 pot, so you know how to do it. And then we'll add in all the others. So I'm going to start with the hyacinth. So give your hyacinth a good drink, and then you simply take them out. They're gorgeous white roots. And for these, I'm not going to sort of take the soil away. I'm just simply going to plant them in the compost. So just pop them on top of the compost. Now I'm going to work in triangles here. So you've got 1 at the front. These are really fresh in, so they're quite young. Obviously they get sort of substantially bigger. And 1 there. And then 1 here. So you've worked there in a triangle, so we've got a triangle shape. And then we're going to do the same with the narcissi, but these I am actually going to take apart. So you simply pull them out and get those roots into the compost. Again, working in a triangle formation. Okay, and now we can fill all of the gaps with these beautiful muscari. So let's break down this one first. So you're simply taking these muscari bulbs apart. Keep all that compost in if you can. Okay, and then you're simply pushing or placing your muscari amongst your other bulbs. They're looking gorgeous. You can spiral the root system if you want in the palm of your hand, just to create sort of like a little nest, but it's totally up to you. I quite enjoy doing it, you know, if I've got time. It's quite therapeutic. So you're just sort of twisting the bulb in the palm of your hand so that it creates that sort of nest of roots underneath. But having said that, I do like the look of all those white roots sort of everywhere and sort of a bit kind of organic looking. So it's completely up to you how you prefer to do it. Let's do a mixture. So we'll pop some with the little nest underneath them, and then some we'll just put straight into the compost. Now, it's probably tricky to see how many bulbs there are in here because they're all so young, but if you imagine these bulbs are sort of 2 days old, well, they've arrived 2 days ago. Imagine in a week's time, they will be exquisite. They will be, I mean, this one already, oh, look at that. Gorgeous. Pop him there. Okay. We're also going to lift the bulb slightly when we put the moss in, which I'll show you in a moment, so that the bulbs sort of sit slightly higher. Okay, right, so let's add in some moss. So in your kits you will have your flat moss, which is this sort of moss here. You will have your bun moss, which is this one here, and then your sphagnum moss, which is this one here. Now you will have more flat moss because it is better and easier to use when you're working with lots of little bulbs. It's much easier to break and sort of dot around, whereas the bun moss is chunkier. We all love the bun moss. It's one of the ones that everyone really enjoys, sort of how it looks. It's quite tricky sometimes with this kind of thing. So we're just going to do touches of the bun moss, and then same with the sphagnum. So we just kind of roll that up into little kind of clusters, and then we just dot it around. Just adds that sort of different texture. Okay, let's add in the flat moss first. So breaking it up into little pieces, you're simply tucking it in and around your bulbs. Now don't worry at this point if you feel like your bulbs look like they're low down. In a moment we're going to lift them and they will look much more prominent in your kit. Don't worry if you put moss on top of the bulbs, we're going to lift them, as I just said, so don't worry too much, but just try and kind of tuck it in around. Now, I was going to say something then, now I've forgotten. No, it's gone. Obviously, really important. Oh, what was I going to say? Oh, that was it. So I personally like the look of the compost showing, some of the compost showing through. I think it adds sort of a depth of kind of tone. You've got the receding black of the compost against the green, so you've kind of got the eye kind of goes sort of, how to explain, but yeah, it's a really lovely way of making it look a lot more layered and textured and giving that sort of depth. So I would keep some of the compost on show, in my opinion. Completely up to you what you want to do. Right, let's add some sphagnum in. Now this is sort of wild. It's got pine needles in, it's got dried leaves in. It's fresh, but there's some, all sorts in there. Straw by the looks of it. But yeah, it really adds kind of something to it. It's also a kind of more of a vibrant green, I guess. So again, it adds another dimension to your kit. Okay, so now we're going to lift the bulbs. So I really like the way the bulbs look when they're slightly raised, in that you then see that gorgeous sort of papery kind of tone on top of the moss. So to do that, you don't need to do that for the hyacinths. As you can see, they are standing proud. You can see them really well. But for the Muscari and for the Narcissi, it's something that I think works really effectively. So you simply hold the moss down, you lift your bulb, and you then just sort of pop it back on top. So lifting the bulb, popping back on top. And then there's the Narcissi. You can also keep your bulbs or have your bulbs at different heights. again, it just adds to that sort of where it takes the eye. It just makes things a little bit more exciting, a bit more interesting. Exciting in my opinion, might not be exciting to you, but it just adds to sort of how it kind of looks and how impactful it looks. I also really like it when you can see some of the roots. It's absolutely fine if they're not all touching or in contact with the compost, that's no problem. Oh, it just looks amazing already. I love it. Okay, nearly there with raising the bulbs. Okay. Oh, that looks so lovely. If you imagine in a week's time, wow, it's gonna look sensational. Okay, right, let's add in the twigs. So in your kit, you'll have 9 stems of cherry blossom. They will be trimmed down somewhat, but you can trim them down further if you want to, or you can keep them longer. It's completely up to you. But you simply tuck those in. It may mean you need to then rejig the bulb slightly, but there's no problem with that. I do like it when because they're not really straight. You don't tend to get many sort of really straight stems of cherry blossom. They do tend to be a bit curved, which I rather like. Now when you're placing your twigs, I would always say, if you can, imagine they're coming from like a central point in the planter, so that you're not sort of sticking them in, placing them in delicately like this. You're sort of angling like that. Just, it makes it sort of feel a bit more polished, a bit more kind of professionally done, I guess. You might disagree, but hopefully it looks professionally done. Okay, oh, it looks so lovely. Okay. Oh, that one's not going very well. Okay, there we go. So there's your cherry blossom. Now we can now add in our birch. So the aim, so the idea of the cherry blossom and the birch is to sort of create a bit of a structure, a bit of a framework for the bulbs to sort of weave in around. You probably will need to weave them. They might actually do it themselves, but you might need to give them a bit of help. But it's start again. The idea is that as they grow and get taller, they have that support network of all the twigs, so that they sort of weave in and out. I mean, part of the charm is that they do become quite sort of top heavy with their beautiful sort of white petals, flowers. That's part of the loveliness of them. I'm just going to trim this one down a little bit. But the twigs, hopefully, will provide a little bit of support for them. Although, having said that, I do quite like it when they're kind of, you know, angled everywhere. It's part of the charm. Okay, so that's all the birch in. In terms of care, you need to keep the bulbs damp, so keep the compost damp. So water every sort of 2 days. Don't overwater so that it's all sort of sat in lots of water and waterlogged. Just sort of keep it nice and damp. Keep it in a bright room if possible. Doesn't matter if it's northwest facing or north facing, that's fine. But just, you know, a nice amount of sort of light is perfect. And damp and as cool as possible. Again, doesn't matter if it's not that cold. I know that we've probably all got our central heating on still. It's not a problem, but just as cool as you can get it really. In terms of the bulbs, once they have gone over, you can take away the flower, leave the leaves on, let those leaves go yellow so that then all the nutrients have gone back into the bulb, and then you can pop those bulbs into the garden for next spring. So yeah, just let the leaves go yellow before you trim them off, and they should flower next year. So there you have it. That is the Luxury Early Spring Planter Kit.